Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check it out. They're debasing currency, the debasement trade as U.S. debt surged $1 trillion in 76 days. What's the plan? Somebody rolled a beautiful intro so we can find out.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. Right now, look at this, $3.97 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's up 1%. Bitcoin 114,900 plus, Ethereum 4,100 plus, XRP's 262. Now we're off 0.8 on the 24, but we're up 6.4 on the 7-day. Let's look at the range of price very quickly here. Ranging between 260 and 267. We're down here towards the bottom side of that range. So I know a lot of people, technical analysts, say we may see a little bit of this bouncing around where we're kind of going between, 267 or whatever we're looking at the top here and bouncing under that range of support. Remember, it was just a couple weeks ago that anything between 265 and 365 was a dollar noise channel, right? Considered by technical analysts at Grad Crypto. And now we've seen this retracement happen from that flash crash. Now we're looking for XRP to get back above that resistance, what was support, and get back above that resistance and making it support once again. So that's what we're looking at right now. We'll keep an eye on it, but everyone is still pretty much bullish on the market from where I'm sitting. And I think we've got reason to be. But let's get into what we're talking about today. We start here. Remember, protect yourself. People are getting hacked every single day out here. You get free institutional grade custody right here at Caleb and Brown. It costs you nothing. And they can do that because they're so confident in their personal touch human service, human customer service, that you will become like myself, like DAI, so happy with your relationship with your prime broker that this is where you're going to start doing business. This is the kind of peace of mind I'm looking for. And I tell you something, when half the internet shut down the other day, I could get right on and talk to my broker and I knew everything was fine. No more worrying about if you've been hacked. No more worrying if you set your market orders correctly. You get free institutional grade custody, multiple layers of security. They verify your transactions, and you can put special restrictions on your account with your prime broker as well to add even more layers of security than what they already offer, which is incredible. Don't mess around. Click the link below or simply go to xrpwealth589.com and sign up today and start getting the peace of mind you deserve. Look at this. Nate Garazzi, it's our XRP guy, it's our ETF guy. He says spot XRP, Solana, Litecoin, and other ETF filings are lined up and ready for launch. And as you can see right here, it is this wall like a dam of water being held back, which are the spot crypto ETFs looking for approval. And when this government shutdown ends, down comes the wall and the investors get flooded with money, is what Nate's suggestion here is by this tweet. And I think I love it. Look, I don't now if it's the next 2 weeks, I don't know, but I would love it to be today, right? But hey, bring it on. And then hear this. Remember when we covered this where Scottie Pippen sat on stage and said, I met Satoshi back in 1993. Take a listen.
You mentioned.
Let me turn it down a little bit. The volume's rocking.
You met Satoshi in Seattle in 1993. Yes. He also came to you in a dream.
Look at the look Michael Saylor's putting on him. Look at that look right there. Who are you, Michael Saylor?
You have a nice relationship with Satoshi.
I feel like I do.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a story to tell. Definitely have an opportunity to meet him back in 1993.
And Mike Saylor is giving him the stink eye. And you know what? I say, imagine a $2.3 trillion market cap relying on people and their lies of omission, pretending to not know Satoshi's identity, to keep a false narrative from falling to the floor. Investors like you and I have a right to know. It's called disclosures. Now, I will add to this, if they don't ever reveal who it is, and we know that they know, and we know that there's more than one, we've been over it, if the U.S. government adopts a Bitcoin strategic reserve, and I hope they do, we need to pay the debt down. But if they do that under this president, who is a nationalist and loves this country more than anyone we could ever think of, there's no way he would allow us to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve without him knowing who Satoshis are. And it's my guess that it's a 3-letter agency right here in the United States, but that's my guess. And that might be the reason they don't want anyone else to know, so the world will continue to hold it too. Take a listen to IMF chief. This is Kristalina Georgieva right here.
But generally, you tell them to embrace it?
I'm telling countries, accept reality. Fiat money is moving digital. The developments in crypto, both unbacked and backed, they're happening with exponential speed. So yeah, you can try to lock your country away from this. Good luck with it. So yes, I'm telling my members, understand it and then decide for yourself how you're going to operate in this world. But
listen,
do not close your eyes to reality.
That's how big a deal this is. That is the managing director of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, telling the rest of the member partners and countries, don't turn a blind eye to this, because this is coming whether you like it or not. And one of the reasons it's coming is because of the debt that is facing so many other nations. And it's not just the USA. Everyone is getting crushed by their own mounting debt, including Canada, which makes it very difficult for them to have trade negotiations when they're in such a disarray as well. Take a listen.
It's not a funny fiscal outlook. It's a really serious fiscal outlook. And we don't lightly use the word unsustainable, right? Unsustainable means you don't have the option of saying, maybe I'll wait a couple of years, I'll see how things go. It means if you don't change, this is done, right? So it's very serious.
There you have it. That's Canada. And it's very serious here too. So I'm not poking fun at them. The world is in trouble. Western Union to pilot stablecoin powered transfers for its customers across 200 countries. Really? That's interesting. Ripple Financial, Rail Financial that it purchased does 10% of all stablecoin settlements business to business. Remember when Western Union tried to talk trash on us? Now they're starting to incorporate stablecoins. Yeah, governments are doing it too. Look at Japan. Japan will debut the world's first stablecoin pegged to the yen on Monday, today. A small but significant step in a market still dominated by cash and card payments for now. Tokyo-based JPYC will launch the yen-backed stablecoin supported by bank deposits and Japanese bank government bonds, as it should. Now, it doesn't say in this article, but I've seen other articles talk about Polygon, Avalanche, and Ethereum being the networks they would be launched on first. I would expect the XRP ledger to soon come into play because we know some of the players behind this are like MUFG, right? Mitsubishi UFG Bank, Sumitomo Mitsui, and Mizuho, I guess it is. They're all involved. And we know that there's relationships with Ripple and Mitsubishi MUFG, right? As well as probably these others as well. This gets very interesting because it leans into what I've talked about, which is that every G20 nation, the largest economies of the world, launching digital, whether it's a central bank digital currency or a stable coin, onto the new digital on-chain economy, bringing the rest of the world with it, because that's how you would do it. And I expect to see it on the XRP ledger at some point. And then we know about BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and then many other member nations have joined since then. Russia accelerates de-dollarization and says 95% of trade with China and India is now in local currencies. Well, this stings a little bit because you have more de-dollarization happening here. That's what this is. And as they stop using the dollar to trade, means they take smaller and smaller positions in bonds. That's what it means. The market itself meets the need for settlements in national currencies. For example, our friends from China and India have already switched to national currencies by 90 to 95%. This is automatic, without any purpose, because they don't allow settlements in respective currency, which used to be the hegemonic one, right, which is the US dollar. This is a design and attack on the US dollar. And Trump has said anybody ditching the dollar is going to get hit with tariffs, right? What will the next steps be? Something's got to be done. Remember, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says we are going through a grand global economic reordering. That's who said it. Well, let's keep going, because for the first time in 30 years, foreign central banks now hold more gold than U.S. treasuries. Signaling a seismic shift in global trust. Well, you don't need to read that article, even though I have, because that's exactly what it means. BRICS pulling away from the dollar, going to local currencies. For the first time in 30 years, foreign central banks now hold more gold than U.S. treasuries. The confidence is lost. 2 years ago, I had this talk with Christian Carlo on stage at XRP Las Vegas 24, where I said, at some point, no one will get an email. There is a line in the sand called confidence, and once it's lost, your money is nothing more than a piece of paper. And he agreed. Something must be done, and it must be done now, because look at this. The U.S. national debt surges $1 trillion in just 76 days. Think that's worth doing something about? You think that's getting backed up into a corner? Are we headed off a cliff? I remind you of the last 5 national currencies that served as the world reserve currency, 2 of which, Portugal and Netherlands, I believe, had a lifespan of 80 years. The United States as a global reserve currency is in its 81st or 82nd year now. This is the moment something must be done. Dan Moorhead and Raoul Pal laughing about the debasement trade, which means trading into Bitcoin or crypto because you know the dollar is being debased.
Even JP Morgan talked about the debasement trade. I mean, we've been talking about it in crypto for fucking 10 years. And finally, they've like, oh, they're debasing currency. I'm like, finally.
And I got an email from Goldman today, the debasement trade. How do you play the debasement trade? I'm like, I've been talking about it for 12 years.
It's interesting to me because, not only are they right, they are right. The dollar is being debased. But what's interesting here is this is Dan Moorhead from Pantera Capital, who also is an investor in Evernorth, the world's largest XRP treasury that will be buying all the XRP off the spot market, where we get it. And then here's a nice remark here from Cyprus to Monacore. Got this clip. Shout out to him. Give him a follow. Jeffrey K. from Standard Chartered Bank, who's a Ripple partner, piloted XRP 5 years ago, estimates 6 to 8 months before institutional money gets regulatory clarity for DeFi. Not just crypto services, but DeFi. Then he mentions one bank is going to make an announcement entering into the space next year, and all the rest will FOMO. Take a listen.
I think it's going to be massive, actually, and I'll probably go even slightly further than the other guys. I think we have now the tokenized cash version, call it what you like. We have the tokenized money market fund stuff. We have each of these weekend liquid now. We have a large push now already into tokenized equities. We will get Clarity Act, SEC guidelines. We'll work out what we can do in DeFi, what's legitimate, what can scale in DeFi. And I think this is all like in the next 6 to 9 months, actually. And so I think if we today have something like $30 billion in tokenized real-world assets outstanding, in 12 months, we're going to be at like 300 billion. So I think you're just at that acceleration point where regulation, liquidity, and others can come together, and we can move very, very quickly. So it's equities now. It will be tokenized broader funds at some stage. Like when I talk to the real money accounts, at some stage next year, one of the main ones that possibly starts with B is going to say, okay, here's like $50 billion fund, which is now all in tokenized space. And when after that, you'll get all the FOMO from all the others doing exactly the same, right? So we're just now at that tipping point in tokenized real world asset space. And the average person will end up with a new wallet in their phone. They won't know the cash part is stablecoins. They won't know the equity part is tokenized Apple stock. They won't know the money market fund is with BUIDL, right? So, and because of AI agents next year, when everyone has that as well, every time you get paid every month, an individual will be able to be super capital efficient, right? So money comes in and goes out immediately to each of these assets, and you can get in and out of them on weekends. You can do stuff in DeFi with them to get extra leverage as well. So,
well, there you have it. But let's go to the point that he said very quickly that Cypress pointed out, and then I wanted to highlight as well. One of the main ones that possibly starts with B is going to say, here is 50 billion for a fund. Take a listen to that again.
Like when I talk to the real money accounts, at some stage next year, one of the main ones that possibly starts with B is going to say, okay, here's like $50 billion fund, which is...
There you have it. I know BlackRock starts with a B, and then he went on to talk about BUIDL Fund, which is tied to Securitize and BlackRock, and on the XRP ledger as well. And then we have all of this debt that's mounting. Well, doesn't it make sense that you'd have Ripple Prime plugging into massive, deep liquidity pools that exist in the traditional financial world to begin the tokenization of the traditional financial world as well? And then access real USD as a stable coin in the new digital on-chain economy, and then XRP as well for settlement. It would make sense to start priming the pump on a new system and infrastructure that can relieve the stress of the old one. And if we're right, then it's perfectly timed that Evernorth would be creating an institutional treasury for XRP, the world's largest, to begin to start buying it directly off of the retail exchanges. Net proceeds will primarily fund open market purchases of XRP to build the world's leading institutional XRP treasury, because they're seeing a very big demand in the future for the asset as well. And with all the trouble that I just laid out in front of all of us at home and abroad, it looks like this is the moment. It looks like this moment is not a day. It's not a flip of a switch is a great term, but the flip of a switch may take a few years to really get all the lights on. If you ever watch the lights come on in a stadium, you flip a switch, but they don't all come on together. They take time to light those up. And I think that's exactly how that I am comfortable seeing this. And knowing that we are in so much trouble with the debt, $1 trillion in just 76 days. You're going to need to tap into the world's liquidity as quickly as possible. And I think the Ripple bottleneck theory does exactly that. And there's nothing negative about it. It's actually hugely positive that they figured out the most accessible bottleneck points to tap into the most liquidity to begin to serve the financial system with this new emerging asset class. That's where we're at. And I'm reminded of this. 2025 started out as a strong year, and I think it's still going as a strong year. I'm reminded when Brad and Stuart Alderati went and had a nice dinner, beef bourguignon nonetheless, with President Trump. A very strong start to 2025, and it doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon. If you're scared, say you're scared. I couldn't be more excited. Lock in. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.